Hi students, welcome to Intro to Computer Graphics. I'm Professor Ferranda. Today in this lecture we're going to learn about digital graphics, different terminology concerning digital graphics and art, and a little bit about the software that you'll be using to create these digital graphics. We have a class website where you can find content here in this drop down, which I'd like for you to view this week. But I'm going to go through some of this content with you in this lecture today. So what is digital art and graphics? So digital image and graphic is an image or visual representation of an object, simply put. Digital art and graphics are computerized graphics, and they come in two forms, two-dimensional and three-dimensional. For 2D art, there are two different types of 2D art, raster versus vector, and we'll go into those in a bit. Raster images are pixel-based, and vector are composed of geometric equations that create the graphics. 3D graphics use software, 3D animation software, 3D graphics software like Maya or Blender, are CAD-like softwares that creates 3D environments for you to create characters and art in. So they're three-dimensional images. What are the purposes of digital graphics? So there are 5 purposes of digital graphics: to educate, to inform, to promote, to advertise, and to entertain. So when we talk about education, graphics can give information to the viewer and educate them about that information. And it's factual information. So a lot of school textbooks and book magazines that are for educational purposes use graphics to educate. Posters may educate people about things. So this is an infographic on climate change here. So to inform is similar to educating, but when you inform, these are direct messages to the viewer. So like signage, warning signage, hazard signage, posters that warn viewers about things, to educate and to inform. So when we talk about promote, it's very close to advertise. In promotion, you are promoting a product or service. They could be logos that are for brands. Here is a Kentucky Fried Chicken logo, which is a graphic. They have a certain set of rules to them because they promote businesses and services through flyers, billboards, online graphics, and posters. Even movie posters are promotional. Closely aligned to that is advertising. So businesses use advertising to promote their products and services, and advertising is usually found in magazines and newspapers as well as online. We all know what ads are. We get inundated by a lot of them. So they help also promote particular events or deals or sales or special offers. And they raise the profile of a brand. And then digital graphics can entertain. So when we're looking at books and magazines that are fictional and graphic novels, those um, fictional stories are represented by imagery and illustration. And also, graphics can include multimedia or game products, which are fictional. It's part of entertaining that grabs the attention of the viewer. Digital graphics can also be digital art that expresses creation by artists and designers. So it can be fine art as well. So there are a lot of forms of digital graphics. So a little bit about art and aesthetics. Um, Aesthetics is an examination of art that relies on a language that describes art and images based on form and elements. So the creator of an artistic image should know the aesthetic language when creating their art. So one of the first key points of the aesthetic language is composition. Composition is the artistic arrangement of parts of a picture, and the artist composes the picture using these different elements. So, just moving forward, there are a key compositional techniques that artists apply, and you could use in your art for this class. For example, the rule of thirds is a commonly used compositional technique by photographers where the picture frame is split up into 9 even squares, and at the crossroads of each of those squares is where you place the image. So if you notice in this image, the top right um, uh, cross is right on the subject's face, and it's off center, so it's a more interesting position compositionally. Another compositional technique is called leading lines, where the lines of objects in the image lead to the main subject matter. So this road leads to this main image in the middle. Visual weight. So the play of weight in a piece can mean a balance of symmetry or asymmetry, of texture, color, saturation, and elements for composition. So, for instance, in this example, these two similar elements are of different size. The weight on the right is heavier than the weight on the left, bringing the composition, giving a certain tension to the composition. This is called asymmetrical balance. Symmetrical balance would be if these two objects were the same size, that would be symmetrical balance. And then finally, there are many techniques, but these are the basic. There, in the Renaissance, they used what they called the sacred triangle, which is a compositional technique that moves the eye around the canvas. In the Mona Lisa, it's a triangle that goes from her bottom arms to her head. And what happens is the eye rotates around the canvas around that triangle. This Van Gogh painting of Starry Night has many triangle compositional techniques within it. Um, and this Michelangelo also has a triangle technique where the the foot of Mary and the head of Mary and this cherubim are all aligned in this triangle. So those are a few compositional techniques. When we talk about form, we're talking about mass in objects. So form can include line, shape, value, color, texture, and space in order to create 3 dimensions in volume, which allow it to have length, width, and height um, in a 3 dimensional object. Geometric forms are precise forms like spheres, cubes, pyramids, cones, and cylinders. A circle can have 3 dimensions and become a sphere. A square can become a cube, and a triangle can become a pyramid or cone. Those are the basic geometric forms. Organic forms have curvy um, sinewy mass that's not symmetrical or easily measured. And they usually occur in nature. So, like flowers, branches, leaves, puddles, clouds, animals, even the human figure are organic forms. So, in drawing and painting, the illusion of three dimensional form is conveyed with the use of light and shadows and rendering value and tone, and shape is defined by the outer contour of an object. So by by combining these, it creates form and three dimensionality to the piece. Another part of form is being able to, in a three dimensional space, think of a perspective grid, which we won't discuss here, but perspective is really important to create three dimensional space. So, a little history of Photoshop and Illustrator. They came out in the early 80s with Adobe Photoshop, which is a pixel based program, and Adobe Illustrator. Um, these two programs by Adobe are one of their most popular programs, and a lot of people know the names of these programs. Um, Adobe Photoshop is a raster or pixel based editor used mostly in photography, but can be used in digital art as well. It was created in 1988, and it allows you to edit images in RGB, red, green, blue, CMYK, and Scilab, spot color, and duotone. And we'll go a little bit into RGB and CMYK later. Adobe Illustrator was developed for the Macintosh in 1985, but shipped in 87, and it was considered a font development software at first, using a PostScript file format, and it was a companion product to Adobe Photoshop. But this program is vector-based, which means it uses geometric equations to create shapes. And I'll go into vector-based versus pixel-based in a bit. So RGB versus CMYK. So if you see on the left here, RGB is red, green, and blue, and CMYK is cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. Now RGB is what you see on a screen, on a TV screen, on a laptop, on your smart tablets, smartphones. The red, green, and blue create all the colors you see in that space. Within that space, there are 72 pixels of RGB pixels per inch on all screens. But when you talk about higher resolution screens like 4K and 5K, you're looking at 5,000 pixels across. So width is larger, but the pixel resolution of 72 pixels per inch stays constant. CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, is the converting colors for printing purposes on a printing press. So all four colors are four plates of the printing press: cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, and those plates are put together to create all the colors you see on a printed page. And it creates a dot pattern. So the resolution for print is 300 dpi to up to 500 dpi, which is equivalent to 300 pixels per inch or 500 pixels per inch. So if you were to print a 72 pixel per inch 5x5 image out to a 300 dpi image, you would get a very small image, or you would get pixelation on your image. Your image would look bad because you're converting a smaller resolution to a higher resolution. And we'll go into that into detail later. This image here is the pixel pattern you'd see if you put a magnifying glass up to the screen, And this is the pixel pattern if you put a magnifying glass, not pixel pattern, this is a halftone pattern if you put a magnifying glass to a printed page. So all these colors represent all the spectrum of color you see in print and on the screen. So a little bit about the resolution issue. So in order to figure out the resolution for print on an image you get from Google, you want to find images that are 3,000 pixels wide and above. The reason why is that if you divide 3,000 by 300 pixels per inch, your print resolution will be 10 inches because you divide 3,000 by 300 and you get 10. The print resolution at 10 inches looks really good. Now, if you were to divide a 200 pixel wide image by 300, it would be like less than 1 inch printed. It might look big, 200 pixels on the screen, but when you print it, it's going to be small. And if you size it past less than 1 inches, you'll start getting a bad resolution image printed. It'll start to look pixelated and what we call bitmappy. Some of the popular resolutions for screen are for the Mac laptop Retina resolution starts at 1680 pixels wide. When you see 720p, you're looking at 1280 by 720 high. So we're looking at the height when we talk about p. So 1080p is 1080 high, which is full HD resolution. Some of the quad resolutions are up to 2,560 pixels wide, and the 4K resolutions are up to 3840 pixels wide. So actually, if you did a screenshot of a 3840 with screen, you could print that at a decent resolution at 10 inches or more, and it'll look good on print. So a little bit more, we're going to get into Photoshop. In the content area, there is the Photoshop tool palette, and there are also a link to Photoshop toolbar shortcuts. Keyboard shortcuts was really good. There's a cheat sheet for the toolbar and a video that would be great and handy to look at. And finally, we're going to learn about masking images in Photoshop and creating composite masking composite images, which is using multiple images to create a larger piece of art. And masking means taking out the image from the background. So that's going to be one of our first exercises coming up. So for now, we are waiting on getting the technical information for the software for you guys to download. So just hold on. I am posting the Oreo doc for this week, and so please check it out. Please go through the content section both on the website and Blackboard to see all this content and where the content is. There are some videos posted, so you may check those out as well. I look forward to working with you guys this semester. If you need any help, just let me know, and I'll be posting office hours every week to meet via Zoom. So thanks a lot, and see you later.